Hello, viewers, and welcome to yet another exciting episode of your favorite podcast, Inspired to Inspire. I am co-host Faith Nawana Silele, and we have our amazing host, lady host, Nam Francisca Lungu. Hi. So today she's playing a different role. She's in the other side of the seat. Okay, so this is Inspired to Inspire, a podcast that is brought to you by Action for Better Life Choices, and this is a podcast that is meant to inspire everyone out there. It's also meant to encourage young people to get inclined to positive role models who should aid them in their decision making. This is why we are here, to simply inspire. Today we have a very important topic that we are looking at. We've been talking about mental health. So today's topic of discussion generally is breaking barriers, my journey with mental health. So this topic has a series of episodes that we are going to run over the next few weeks. And in today's episode, we are looking at the unseen scars, childhood trauma. So interestingly and very inspiringly, we have Ma'am Francisca who's sharing her story. It's starting with her. She wants to inspire, so she's sharing her story of breaking barriers, her journey with mental health. Ma'am Francisca, we are so happy that you have taken up the courage, the boldness to share your story with regards to mental health, and we know that we are going to be very inspired. So maybe just to start with, why do you want to share your story? Why do you want to share your story?
Hello, viewers. I am happy to be here, Nana, and of course, I'm also excited, to be able to share my story. And really, like Nana is asking, sharing my story has like a number of reasons. The first reason really is to, get to inspire people, like the podcast states, inspire different people out there, to gain the courage to begin to talk about issues that pertain to mental health. Just to tell someone out there to say it is okay to embrace pain and begin to talk about it, because that's your mantle. That's what helps you to heal. It's to begin to talk about that pain, because when you hide that pain, it becomes difficult for you to heal. So the first one is really to encourage someone out there. And when you see me talk about this, it should really inspire you and motivate you to want, to talk about your own journey. It may not be on the platform like the podcast, but begin to talk, to others, those people that you trust, that you can really interact with, so that you let it out. You let it out for your own healing, but also your story can just help someone that you may never know. The other reason is, just wanting to bring others on board, because the issue of mental health isn't just about one person. It's about the whole lot, the entire society, the entire community. So it's to bring others on board. You see, I believe that, you cannot talk about physical health without mental health. It starts with the mental health, because if I have a sound well-being, I'll be able to make better choices in my life that may affect my physical well-being. So if I have a sound mind, I'll be able to, decide to go to the hospital when I'm not feeling okay. When I have issues, I'll be able to decide to say, okay, I need to talk to someone because my mind is sound. But if I have a congested mind, there's confusion, there's an uncertainty, I don't understand like what is going on. The next thing I'm going to do is commit suicide, for instance. I'm going to find solace in wrong places. I will indulge in things that I'm not supposed even to indulge, which are going to be very, very detrimental on my physical health. So you see, I see these things as, as a marriage. So for me, talking about physical health should actually start with mental health, so that when these two are taken care of, then we have this complete person that is healthy to, contribute to the development of society, as it were. The other reason I want to talk about my story is to ignite community support in issues that pertain to mental health. Create that awareness. Personally, I've seen like a lot of gaps where we know that others, they behave in a certain way because they are not knowledgeable. They don't understand. There's that information gap. They don't know what to do. So it starts with this podcast to begin to talk about those issues, so that together we can, make a difference and do something in the lives of a lot of people that we are seeing today, going through a lot of mental health issues. So this story of mine is just really to inspire, to make a difference, and, to allow someone out there to heal, and also to let someone know that if they need to talk to someone, they have someone who's been through certain situations like myself, and they should feel free to reach out and say, can we talk about this? I'm going through this, how can, I come out of this? How can I help myself to come out of this? Here, we'll be able to talk about it. So now really, that's about it.
Wow, wow, thank you so much. There you have your reason. They're like, so what's the whole point? Firstly, it is to be able to create awareness. People need to know, all about these mental health issues. It goes down to, being personal. It's also about others relating, connecting maybe to her story, to her situation, and just feeling, okay, if I've gone through this, there could be someone who has gone through it as well. There could be someone who's been gone through worse than I have gone. So it's just, we are creating a community where we can share and heal from our experiences by sharing them at the end of the day. But also we want to create community, family community support. At the end of the day, everyone has to get involved. Everyone has a role to play. So thank you so much for giving us those reasons. So even as we are, for me, I say it's exciting because at the end of the day, there's a lot of inspiration at the end of the story. The goal is to inspire. So for me, inspiration is just an exciting thing to do. So we'll get to hear the story now. I'm Francisca. So just tell us about your childhood experiences, your traumas, and what immediate impact they had on your life.
Okay, thank you so much, Nana, for that question. Well, I can relate to, a number of traumas, but I want to particularly look at like one specific trauma. I come from a family of 6. We were born 6 in my family. I'm the third born. We are now 5 because one guy passed on. We're 3 girls, 3 boys, but now we are 2 boys and 3 girls. Dad is late and mom is still living. She's a midwife by profession. So I was born in Mufurila, Ronald Ross Hospital.
CP.
Yes. So when I was born okay, but at 7 months, from the story that I obtained from my mother and my grandma at the time, I was told that I suffered from polio. That time, issues of those vaccines, these medications that, related to the different outbreaks that were like happening at the time, it was really quite difficult. And, I suffered a lot according to what I was taught. And I think amongst my siblings, I was the one who was so sickly. So they did what they could. And because mom, being a medical person, she had, some connections here and there, until I was taken to Kabwe, where the Chinese doctors had come. And those people really helped me out. They knew their thing, even though they said, okay, you were a bit late, because if she came, at the time when she was like this, would have done that. But we'll try our best. And truly, they really tried their best. Because if, my cousin, the one who got sick as well, his disability is actually different from mine. For me, I'm really like able to walk like upright, and there are very few people that would tell that I'm actually disabled, unless I tell them, or you know, when they look at me, they'll see me limping and they'll just think, okay, it's some kind of style of, you know, the way I walk.
Like
You know,
you're
in
actually
you know, I'm
skitting.
skitting, I'm trying to slay.
She models.
All those things, but
Yeah.
really that's not it. It's a disability. I am lame. In other words, one leg of mine is, you know, bigger than the other. Yeah. So I was a child, you know. I was, you know, 1 year down the line, you know, they did what they could, and I became okay, like physically, but I was limping. You know, that you know, physical disability, you know, could be seen even, you know, by others and all. So I was growing up in my childhood. Now I start going to, you know, to school, primary and all. I still had that. So I started interacting with different, you know, friends at school, at home. We are playing those things we were playing that time. There were a lot of things we were doing as children, you know, chidunune, you know, all those things. I begin to like to see certain difference in myself, and that became worse because my siblings, especially the guys, and that time I remember my late brother was still there, so they would call me names. You know, they started like name calling me. They would say Kakwendo, you know, Kawiro. You know, imagine you're walking and people are calling you that and they are laughing about it and everything like that. Whatever you do, they will just call you know, get out from here, Kakwendo. You know, that kind of thing. And I said, what is really this about, you know, my Kakwendo, my leg and everything like that? Every time someone would just name call me and things. So for them, especially my siblings, for them it was like a joke. You know, they would joke about it, laugh about it when they call me those names. Sometimes they'll call me even in the presence of others. And that was really getting to me. Yes, I was young, but it felt like I was really different from others, and I didn't understand it, you know. So the immediate impact, Nana, it was like, you know, it really affected me and brought in, you know, some kind of like shame, you know, where you feel like ashamed that you are made in a different way and your friends are made like that. And by virtue that people are name calling you, you feel like you don't fit in. You feel like there's something wrong about you. So I said, but what is really wrong with me? You know, are these just the way I'm limping? Really, does that make me different? And you know, I can't say much. I'm a child, but it was something that was really getting to me to say, why would my brother say like that? It really went on and on to an extent that I started feeling, you know, like withdrawn. You know, I started some kind of wanting to isolate myself from people because I don't want them to see me, you know, limping, okay? Because no matter how I try to walk normal, I'll still limp because these are two different legs. One is okay, the other one is small but also short. You know what I mean? When you're limping, it's like I'm bending to the shorter leg like that. And everyone who's looking, and it starts with my brothers to name call me and laugh about it and things like that. So you can imagine what I was feeling, you know, like I don't belong. I'm not like part of the others because I'm different from them. Sometimes even when my mother would send me just to buy, you know, small things, you know, we send our children to buy stuff, buy matches, buy what. When I see this, there are people seated, you know, the route that I want to take to go and buy whatever I need to buy. Believe you me, even if they can timber or the shop is nearby, I'm not going to pass where those people are. Because my fear is that if I pass and they look behind that I'm limping, they'll start also name calling me. So I used to divert. I would take a longer route to go where I need to go because I'm afraid to be laughed at, to be name called and all those things, because I wasn't feeling good about it. It wasn't something exciting because it was reading the negative. So those are the things that were happening, really. So that's the trauma I want to share, because even just a person being lame, having a disability is really an issue. People will talk stuff, people will do this and that. And this is something that I've seen even in society where there are parents who even hide the children with autism. You hide them because you are feeling ashamed to start with, and you feel they don't belong in society and they cannot mix with others. There are people who do that. I'm lucky that my parents, they didn't hide me. They didn't hide me, but they brought me out. Now within the same family, there are people who didn't understand my disability, my siblings. They started doing that, and it trickled down to society, to other people, even in society, where you differ and they'll call you that name. Kakwendo, Kole Mara, that thing. And that was bad. It was really a bad experience for me, growing up as a child, because I understood nothing. I was so confused, because no one even told me about this disability, Yeah, my parents, they did whatever they could, but there was no time that they really, sat me down to say, okay, this is a situation, but this situation, you are just an okay child. And equally, even for my siblings, I think no one said anything to them. For them, they just did whatever they did as children, and they felt it was okay just to do whatever they were doing. But it was getting to me even as a child, but I couldn't talk about it. It was just inside me. It was something that was unseen. It was sealed within me, but it was building up, which maybe later could be seen even like in adulthood, even the way I related with other people in society, whatever. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. So at the time they were wounds. Now we call them scars, because they're just a reminder of what happened.
Yeah.
But at the time you had feelings. You'd feel a certain way, like you've indicated. You had perceptions of you yourself because of what people said. You perceived people differently. Okay, maybe this is where maybe just a little bit of a highlight. Apart from your perception of yourself, like feeling okay, you're different, and feeling bad and everything, what was your perception of other people? I know, like, you've talked about withdrawing, but can you just maybe go deeper about the feelings and the perceptions, both on your end as well as towards the people that were around you? Yeah.
So like towards me is really that feeling of unworthy and not fitting in society because I'm different. Okay, so I perceived myself as someone who needs to draw back, from people around me. Okay, and I felt like unseen or kind of unwanted. I felt that feeling where you those are your siblings and they are your brothers, then they start calling you names. You begin to develop some kind of what can I say, like hate attitude, where you feel
like resentment.
Yeah, like resenting, to say, but why would you do that? So you just feel like these people, how I hate it when you do that, and I hate that you should call me that such names, and you are actually even allowing other people to call me the same names that you are calling me. So there was that, you start feeling some kind of resentment towards your own siblings because of what they're saying. Innocently, probably they are doing that, but it's really. But then I couldn't say it like outward and say this and that, but it's just showing in my actions and the way I'm relating to people. I'm a bit withdrawn and all. You don't want to participate in certain activities because they will really show that you are disabled. So you just allow other people to do that, because when they see you, they will know. Probably they'll call you. Even if I'm good at something and I want to do it, I would not want to do it because I'm scared that they will see who I am. Really,
Wow. Yeah. So just that aspect, even, you start to feel, because these are children, maybe, the name calling for them is just from what they are seeing, and they are just like, okay, they say it even without thinking about it, without thinking about how it makes you feel. And for you, there's that, you hate that they are calling, you that name, in having that childlike mind, because your mind is not yet open to understand really what the situation is or how you can handle. So in the childishness, in the moment, you know, because we are looking at the childhood experience, in the childness, in the moment, you start to hate those people because why are they calling you names? Why do they remind you that something is wrong with you? So those are I would say are the traumas. Those are the experiences that were there. Okay, so now even just in all that, since we are just exploring the experience and the perception, what would be maybe the giveaway message that you have, because we've talked about your trauma, unless you'd want to maybe go a bit more in details. We've talked about the trauma, we've talked about how you felt at the time, both for you and towards other people. Do you have any giveaway message that can be of inspiration to others, to the world out there, the people that are watching?
Yeah, of course. You know, there are a lot of things that I feel we take for granted, especially when in childhood. Okay, I think there's a lot of paying attention when, you know, people get to, you know, that age of okay, adolescents going this side, especially young adults and, you know, adulthood. We want to do things when, you know, things have, the water has gotten there. You know, that's when we want to say, no, we should have done this and that and that and that. But, you know, from my experiences, it's really important that we get interest to this child growing up, because a lot of mess, especially when it comes to mental health, starts when we are still children. There's a lot that happen in childhood, because just suffering from polio itself is a mental health problem. Okay, it's a mental health problem, and if it's not taken care of, there's a lot that remain behind. I've talked about feeling shame, you know, feeling, you know, like not belonging, not wanted, and all those things. So imagine now I'm growing up with this kind of, you know, your feeling. What kind of a person am I going to grow into? Okay, because my relationships with people, the way I relate to people, the society, is really going to be affected. It will be something else. It's either it will, in fact, it will injure me more, you know, but eventually I'll also injure other people, because I've been wired in a certain way right from when I was a child. Okay, I didn't believe in myself when I was a child, because, you know, I grew up a lame person. How do you expect me to start believing in myself when I grow up? People are going just to toss me left, right, and center, because everything I see, I want to belong, because I never belonged when I was a child. Okay, so the message I want to pass on, first of all, to parents, to caregivers, take interest in your child. It's not just about this child is born, because the bonding starts when a child is in the womb. So you don't just bond in that womb or just by breastfeeding a child, but you take interest in their every step of development, and you begin to talk to them, you know, at that age. Sit them down and let them understand like who they are, how they are made, and you tell them it's okay. Sometimes in life you are going to meet such people, this and that and that. It's okay. For me, I would have been happy if I was told about my disability and what would come with me being disabled, and just to assure me that you are just a normal child and you are going to interact with society. Okay, you are wonderfully and fearfully made in the image of God, and just move with your life. That would have, you know, boosted my self-esteem. I would have felt, you know, I'm also normal, and, you know, I can interact with people that are different from me, even if I'm different. Then also, when it comes to my siblings, they needed also to be told to say, your sister is like this, you need to respect that, the fact that she's disabled, but it's not a disability. She's just a human being like any other person. This is the way she was made, in the image of God. So don't go about name calling and all. And we should never hear you even name call any person that you see that is disabled. because sometimes there is a tendency to do things with. I think I remember myself even growing up. I also had a certain, a certain way I used to relate, with like albinos, You see an albino as children, then you start spitting, you spitting in your, say no, when you see an albino, you have to do this because this and that, all those things.
That was instilled in us.
It was instilled, and we went on and
yeah,
on with it.
Yeah.
You see, even just a disabled person, you see an elderly person maybe limping on an old. There's just a certain way you are wired, and you begin to do things. It's because you've just grown up with this kind of thing, and that's what we need to change. And the people who can only change that, it's us parents, starting with our children. We begin to see how things are happening in their lives. These disorders can be seen when they are still children. The only problem is that we don't take interest, and probably there's that information gap. Believe you me, what I've come to know now, I even know where I've gone wrong with my own children, for instance. I even know, certain behaviors that I see in my children and what it entails. Why? Because I've taken interest to say, but I've gone through this. I have seen this in my life, and this happened. Then there's this that I've seen in my boy, and that I've said, what is going on? I want now to find out really what is it. And I took that step, that journey to find out, and I found out it has really more to do with the mental health. Okay, so the interest really comes from each one of us. We are all players in this. God has allowed me some level of healing, but it has been a journey where I have to go through it all, painful as it has been, because this is just one part of the story that I've given. Like Nana said, there are more episodes that I need to take to give my story, and it's just to help us to understand where it starts from, how the journey gets to go until adulthood, because that's the only way we are going to understand, to say, let's not just look at people in their adulthood and how they behave. There's something that happened back there that they need to really take care of. So the message really is, let's take interest, let's get the knowledge, let's be informed, so that we can become also change agents. We can be that support system that people need in society. We can begin to educate even our young people, our children, to understand what really mental health is about. It actually needs to be spoken everywhere, in different places, in the churches. If you are a preacher, take interest. If you are a mother, your father, take interest. If you are a traditional leader, take interest. Everybody, a young person, take interest, because if you take interest in these mental health issues, you won't even utter any negative word towards somebody. You won't just look at someone and say that one is a psycho. You won't do that. You won't just look at someone who's lame and say you won't do that, because you are really contributing to lowering their self-esteem and making them hide, and eventually you see people committing suicide, and you are getting surprised why they are doing that. Yeah, that's the message that I want to pass on now. And I'm still passing on that message in the different episodes that are to come.
Yes. Amazing. Thank you so much. Wow, that's definitely some learning. Everyone has a role to play, everyone has a hand in it. At the end of the day, it's how the person perceives themselves, but also it's what you contribute to that perception that they have. So you obviously want to contribute positively to a person's mental well-being, to every one of our mental well-being. So we have come to the end of today's episode, and definitely taken notes and have been inspired. I just want to encourage our viewers out there, do like the podcast, give your comments, share. If you have someone that you feel maybe needs someone to talk to, we are here to give a listening ear. We are here to also just give a word of encouragement. So share the podcast, give your comment, and let's just create this awareness towards good mental health. Remember, we are breaking barriers, okay? We are breaking barriers, we are breaking the silence, and we just want to roll out this mental health awareness. So do join us on our next episode, where we are going to be looking at another exciting topic, that is navigating adolescent trauma and coping. Okay, so after all the childhood traumas and everything, now we're looking at the stage of, adolescence, and how you navigate it and how you cope with all the trauma. So that is going to be another very important topic. Do join us, and remember, this episode of Inspired to Inspire podcast is brought to you by Action for Better Life Choices. Like that page, follow the page, and be glued to this podcast. Thank you so much. Mom Francisca, any words that you have for our viewers?
So mental health matters. Let's take it seriously, and let's be the light of the world that we want to see in this world. Let's be the light that we want to see in this world. Till we meet next time on another exciting episode of Inspire to Inspire. Nana, thank you for having me today. I'm so excited that I've been able to share something with the viewers.
Amazing. Thank you so much. See you next time. Bye-bye.